Midweek update today. I want to get right into it. If you've been on social media at all this morning, you've seen that Cliff Smart, the legendary president of Missouri State University down in Springfield, is announced he's going to retire at the end of this academic year. He's been kind enough to make a little time to join us. Kelton, bring Clifton into the show. Smart, thank you so much for making the time. Congratulations on an absolutely legendary career at Missouri State.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks for having me on. It's always a good conversation.
Right off the top, I've wondered forever why your name is Cliff with one F. And I can tell people that pay attention, they'll text something about you or whatever. They'll say Cliff with two F's. And I was like, no, one F. And I don't even spell well. And now today, I finally realized when I got your email address, it's Clifton, correct? And that's where the one F comes from.
It is. I was named after my dad and my grandfather, and Clifton has one F. And so that's how they decided to spell Cliff with one F.
I realize there's bigger news today, but I still believe that there's a lot of folks being like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I got to ask you, it feels like there's a ton of good momentum at Missouri State. It really feels like the whole town is fed off that momentum from the college. Why are you leaving now?
Yeah, so a lot of things aligned. I'm going to be 63 on Saturday. When I retire, I'll be almost 64. I will have done it 13 years. That's the average tenure of a president's less than 6. And these jobs have a lifespan. We've accomplished so many of the things that the board hired me to do. We're going through a 2-year transformation plan to really realign academics and be ready to take off again. We've got a good team in place. And there's some other things I want to do. And so I've always I want to retire when I still have good health and the opportunity to do some additional things, and that when the university's in good shape, and when frankly I think a new voice will help us continue the progress we've made, maybe even greater progress at a greater clip. And so everything aligned to say, hey, this is a good time for me to step off. And by announcing it now, the board will start the search process while I'm here. So we don't waste a year with having an interim president. We'll go right from, my tenure to the tenure of the 12th president of Missouri State University.
It does feel a little different. You're not a traditional academic, which I think might be the recipe for some of the success. But it feels like you were going to be the president of this college. I guess it feels like it's not the tenure doesn't feel as long because you're so closely associated with the city of Springfield and that college.
I think that was one of the reasons that we had the success we have, right? I was never looking to be president anywhere else. I didn't want to be the president of the University of Missouri or the University of Arkansas or anywhere else. Heck, probably not qualified to be president anywhere else. But it was a really good fit for me in Springfield. We've lived here over 31 years. We were connected with the community. We were connected with our political leadership in Southwest Missouri and in the state. And all of that just made it work. When you're working the job you want, as opposed to trying to use this job to get another, it completely changes perspective, and you can do it the way you think it ought to be done. And the board was very supportive of that approach, and it's been a good run.
So, what made you? I mean, your background as a trial lawyer, you were paying the bills, right? I think it was pretty well known. You got by pretty well in the attorney business. What made you want to actually dive in and be the president of the college?
I was about 50, had been at the Strong law firm 15 years. Tom had retired, who was my mentor. 3 of us had owned the firm, and our practices had gone different ways. And so we had an amiable split, and I came over here to work as general counsel, slowing down the pace a little bit from doing all the trial work, and frankly thought that would be the last job I had. And we ended up with a president that lasted less than a year, that wasn't a
Hmm.
good fit, that during the time he was here, others left. And, reluctantly, I agreed to be interim president while the board was going to search for a new president. And turned out I was actually reasonably good at this. We had a good year. The board encouraged me to apply for the job, and all of a sudden, here I am, the longest serving public university president in our state, some 12 plus years later. And so, really had two great careers. Had a great career as a trial lawyer at the Strong Law Firm, have had a great career at Missouri State University, and feel very blessed and fortunate and have enjoyed almost every minute of both careers.
Um, Walk me through. You are the longest tenured college president in the state. Um, Walk me through some of the changes you've saw over the last baker's dozen years you've been at the helm of Missouri State.
Well, if we look at Missouri State, there are probably four or five things that I'm really proud of that our team got done. First one, I would say, is we've been recognized by the coordinating board and our accrediting body as a doctoral granting university. That's a big damn deal. And to be able to routinely roll out doctoral programs that are critical to our area, like our clinical psychology first cohort started this fall. Our Doctor of Education, our plan is to start it next fall. Those are workforce programs where there's a critical need, and it changes the profile of the university when you're a doctoral granting university. And so that's a big deal. The second thing I would say is we have really remade so many and so much of the facilities at the university, from state of the art classroom and science space to healthcare space, to a new welcome center, new recreational facilities, new amphitheater, all of the retooling of the university's facilities. Facilities matter. And, Senator Blunt, Governor Parson, Senator Lincoln Huff, those people have been critical in allowing us to do that. That all of the campus looks so different today than it did
Yeah.
12 years ago. And it's frankly a result of the leadership of those three people primarily, along with our donors who have allowed that to occur. Third
Well,
thing
those
is
facilities matter. They just matter. It matters for how you view the school. I think if you're a young person on a campus and it looks like a dump, your expectations of what you're going to get out of it are probably lower than if you look like a place that's slick and clean and nice. I just think it changes the mentality of even a student on campus.
It does. It helps you recruit better students. It helps you recruit
Yeah.
better faculty. It helps you to teach better when the facilities are state of the art, right? Yeah. And so, right now we're in the process of putting $135 million into the renovation of all of our science facilities. Well, I mean, right now, frankly, there many high schools in Missouri have better science facilities than we currently have. That will not be true after all of this work is done. And that then changes the quality of the student and the faculty that you can recruit. It sets you up to do cutting edge research in new teaching and research laboratories. It just matters. Just like if you're choosing to play basketball somewhere, a basketball player can judge the quality of the arena, the locker room, the film room, the workout room. Well, so can a kid that wants to study chemistry and biology. They can judge the quality of the facilities you have to do that work. And so really appreciative of Senator Blunt, State Senator Huff, Governor Parson for investing in higher education and specifically our facilities at Missouri State.
You mentioned some of the political leadership in Springfield there. You said you had the college in a good place, a good team in place. Tell folks about that team around you that you're going to leave to the next president.
Well, we have tremendous academic leadership. The first 11 years I was here, Frank Einhellig, our long-term provost, and I worked it together. We've transitioned that over to John Jasinski. John was probably the most successful public university president in Missouri at Northwest Missouri State. Tremendous growth up there at a time when nobody was growing.
He knew how to win some football games too, right?
He did, man. He wanted everything. And so, he came in a year ago and he's led a 2-year program of academic realignment and has just done tremendous work and has brought the faculty with him. They're excited about the changes that are occurring. We hired the commissioner of higher education a year ago, Zora Mulligan, tremendously talented executive managerial person. She's led our resurgence in enrollment. I mean, our freshman class is up over 500 students from a year ago. That's in large part because of the work she has done. Brad Bodenhausen replaces Jim Baker. He's leading our economic development and international work. And just have a solid team top to bottom. Brent Dunn leading the foundation. And I could go on and on and on. It's a senior experienced team, most of whom have been with me for many years. And yet we brought in some really tremendous leaders over the last 2 years to continue to propel us forward. And I would say, a third thing that I'm really proud of is that we've become a leader in economic development. With the Idea Commons, an abandoned part of town north of the square is now alive and thriving with the Roy Blunt Jordan Valley Innovation Center. That's our research part. The E Factory, which has our incubator and accelerator that is expanded into additional facilities because it's completely full. Brick City, which is our state-of-the-art art and design complex down there. And that has spawned, all kinds of young entrepreneurship working in and around those facilities, tens of millions of dollars in research money coming into Springfield. And the result of that has been private development in and around all of that area. And that area is then thriving. And, that just wasn't happening 12 plus years ago. It had begun to happen with Mike Nitzel, one of my predecessors. And then we've really leaned into that with Jim Baker, Brad Bodenhausen, Alan Kunkel, Rachel Anderson, just doing tremendous things. And Missouri State has become now a leader in economic development, along with the chamber, city utilities, the city and county down here, to really continue to grow our area. It's a part of why we're the fastest growing part of the state.
But I've been going to Springfield for some time. It does feel like a lot of that growth fed off the college. A lot of the downtown stuff, the economic development downtown, it does feel like the college was the instigator that really set off a whole domino of a whole lot of very good things in Springfield. Really, downtown Springfield they're only going to scoff if they haven't been there recently. It is a fun place to go.
It's a dynamic place to go.
Yeah.
And that started probably 25 years ago, where the university decided to invest into downtown instead of into the neighborhoods around us. And that helps begin the drive to renovate and reinvigorate downtown. Our alumni associations downtown. We've got office space downtown, and then Idea Commons began north of downtown. And that led to a complete resurgence. When I moved to Springfield 31 years ago, there was no reason to go downtown. We go downtown almost every weekend now.
I mean, it was pretty desolate after Wild Bill Hickok shot that guy across the square, right?
Indeed.
Was it? So tell me this: I've always loved talking policy with you. I don't really like talking policy that many people, but tell me, look into the next phase of higher education. It just feels to me like sometimes the academic world is one of the slowest to innovate, but it feels like in the scriptures right now the waters are troubled. It feels like there's going to be innovation in higher education, one way or the other, through a whole bunch of factors.
Yeah.
What does the state need to do to put Missouri institutions at the forefront of that innovation?
Well, a piece of it is we've got to continue to work to make it affordable, right? There has to be a reasonable return on investment. You can't graduate from college with $100,000 of debt from an undergraduate degree and expect
Yeah.
people to pay that back. And so we've got to figure out the cost piece. We've worked really hard to keep college as affordable as we can. And the result of that is we've become really a destination campus for working class and middle class families because we work to keep that down, keep the costs down. So I think, Governor Parson has started working on that with, if you're now 25 or over and you need less than 2 years to finish a credential, you can go to college through fast track at essentially no cost. That's huge. And so we're going to have to work on the affordability piece. We're also going to have to, on the institution side, we're going to have to work on convenience and allowing people to get pieces of education at a time, right? The idea that you're going to go for 4 years or 6 years and get an undergraduate and a master's degree all at one time and not need any other education the rest of your life, that's less and less true all the time. And so how are we going to engage people to multiple times connect and get additional training and education to be successful? We've those that are on the cutting edge are figuring out how you can deliver education in a variety of ways, right? Whether that's online or hybrid or in person or on the weekend or in pieces, or that you can start anytime. One of the reasons Western Governors has had some success is you can start any month. I'm going to start in March. You can do it. So, again, I think cost, convenience, modality, showing people that there's still a real return on investment, all of those things. And there are lots of ways to tackle those issues, but all of those are real issues that need to be addressed going forward.
Well, from a policy perspective, tell folks about your relationship with the folks in Columbia. What is that like before you? What is that like now?
So, we have a really good relationship with the people in Columbia. Dr. Choi has gotten things back on track. It's really important for higher education that the flagship university is successful and stable and thriving because we all benefit from that. I interact with him kind of semi-regularly when there are important things going on. We can text each other and we actually respond to each other. We have a good respect for each other. We're competitors for students, but in 90% of the things that we do, our interests align, and we each have a reason to want the other to be successful. A successful Missouri State University pushes the University of Missouri at Columbia to do better and to be more aggressive, and the same is true for us. I believe in the free market. I believe in competition, and good people in an arena make each other better. And I hope that's the relationship that Moon sees down here.
There really is truth for the industry leader, whether it's in news people, if you're in the newspaper business, the better the Post-Dispatch does, frankly, the better everybody else is going to do.
Right.
And I think that's just a business truism for academia or even business, whatever. It is interesting to me. When I started paying attention, you had just taken over at Missouri State. It was tumultuous. Dr. Choi inherited a very tumultuous situation. It is amazing to me, whether it's a football team, a newspaper, or a college, leadership matters. It just matters. You can't deny the fundamental issue went from Mizzou, literally a dumpster fire, to today is leadership. It just matters.
It does. It matters who your CEO is, because that sets the tone overall and sets the higher level strategy. But it also matters who your next level of executives are and your next level of supervisors are. And leadership matters. It matters in your church. It matters in your business. It matters in your university. It matters for your not-for-profit. It just does. And
an A player wants to work with an A player, though. I think it's so much easier to recruit a good, secondary leadership if the CEO, if the top person has it together.
I think that's right. I have heard people say that an A level CEO recruits A level executives to work with him. A B level CEO recruits C-level executives to work with him because
Yeah.
he or she is worried about the competition from within. I have always found that if you give people the credit and the freedom to do the work, then you can hire great folks. And the example of that is the three that I just mentioned, with having Dr. Jasinski and Commissioner Mulligan and Brad Bodenhausen working for me. A part of that is they are free to do the work, and they know I'm going to support them, and they know when good things happen, I'm going to give them the credit for doing it. And that's a good environment to work in. And all that does is raise what people think of me, because we have such great people working at the university.
So you're sticking on. You're still at work today, right? Through the end of the school year.
I am. I'm going to work through next summer, either the end of June or the end of July.
So what's the process going to be to find the next Clifton Smart?
So our board will have a special meeting on September 20th. I expect that they will name a search committee that is composed of both board members and faculty members and administrators and students and staff and alums and friends of the university. And they'll do an aggressive national search. And the goal is to have someone named by March 1st of next year, and ready to go to work in the fall of 24. And I'm here to be helpful in any way I can, both during that process and after my successor is named.
There is nobody more associated with Missouri State University than you. What advice would you give to someone who was going to try to weigh out and find the next leader of the college?
You know what I am telling folks, and of course I've got a self-interest in this as well. But there are kind of two kinds of college presidents, right? There's the kind that comes in and is a fixer and wants to completely change everything, bring his own team with him, and start again. That's not really what we need, right? We're in great shape. We've got the biggest reserves we've ever had. Our enrollment is growing again. We've got a great team here. We're killing it. And so what we need is someone to come in and embrace the work that's been done and the team that's here, and then build on that, take us to the next level. There are plenty of successes ahead for that kind of leader that comes in and does that. And that's what I hope we'll have. But none of us get to pick our own successor. That's up to the Board of Governors, and we've got a great Board of Governors, and I'm sure they're up to the task.
So it comes July. You go down to Florida for a few weeks, and you and the wife have had all the seafood you want. You've tried a couple hobbies. Now we're getting into August, September. You've tried hobbies. You're a little bored. What does Cliff Smart do next September?
I don't know yet. Is the true answer. Gail thinks that there'll be opportunities that come my way that'll be interesting.
That's probably right.
I'm going to try not to decide that for a little while. I do think some downtime is meaningful, right? There are lots of books to be read. There's a lot of travel to be done, and there's a lot of family interaction to have. I've got 6 grandchildren. They're all engaged in different kinds of sports and activities. And I want to take some time to enjoy some time off, because I have literally been doing this job every single day for the last 12 plus years. And so having some downtime.
Well, you've also got to decide where you want your hairline in your statue. And I mean, there's important decisions to be made when you're done, right?
Well, I'm not counting on a statue, but I'm going to be in Springfield, and I think there are going to be interesting things to be done. And I'm certainly want to be engaged on the philanthropic and public service side. And I think there are going to be opportunities for me to continue to make a difference in the city that I've considered home for the last.
Well, let me just ask you a couple direct questions. My phone's been blowing up while I've been interviewing you. So, there's a pretty decent state senator from your neck of the woods who's term limited in 3 years. There's a mayor that's term limited, is running for office on the list of things you're going to sit back and think about next summer.
So I have no interest at all in running any partisan election. right? So no
Okay,
interest in
let's check
running
that
as
off.
a Democrat or Republican for anything. Frankly, I'm not really a Democrat or a Republican. I'm one of those guys stuck in the middle without a real party that I'm
See, I've
connected
always
to.
been a Republican, but some days it gets hard.
And I don't care which party you're in now. If you're kind of a mainstream guy, some days if you're a Democrat, you'd think, man, it's hard to be a Democrat. Or if you're a Republican, man, it's hard to be a Republican. And so I
Every so
like
often
the
I
freedom to be for different people in different parties, and neither party now completely captures kind of how I think and what I think is important.
I've shared a few steins with your state senator, and we've been like, well, this is clearly the conservative position, but it's clearly not the Republican position.
Right.
It is an odd time to be alive, frankly.
Right. And so not interested in partisan politics, not wouldn't completely take off the table some other kind of nonpartisan race, but it would depend on the circumstance, and it would depend upon if people thought that I could make a real difference there, depend on what the race looked like. Is that a school board race? Is that a council race? I don't know. And none of that may come to fruition, and it's not on the top of my list, but I don't want to completely say it's off the table.
Well, I'm grateful for the time. Congratulations on an incredible run at Missouri State. You deserve all the plaudits and all the praise. It is absolutely a job well done. Thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you, Scott, and I appreciate everything, and I appreciate our relationship.
Same here, buddy. Look forward to giving you a high five and a hug in person next time I see you.
Let's do it.
It's Cliff Smart, the now retiring president of Missouri State University down in Springfield. I'm going to tell you, the guy knew how to make things happen. He was a very, very talented college administrator. I've always said he's one of the best academics I ever knew because, well, I guess he wasn't an academic. If you're looking for a college president, I'd call him, find me a trial lawyer and give him an interview. I tell you what, we're going to have, though, it'd be awesome if he came up. I'm sure he's busy. Our 30 under 30 event, the Missouri Soybean Association, Monday night, Knight and Halks, Bert and Ernie, they're in the bathtub. We're going to have a lot of fun Monday night. If you're going to come up, I assume that Jay Hahn is already on the day Cliff's going to come up early in session. Everybody's going to come tell him what a great job he did. If you're going to come up, we'll call it Cliff Smart Day or Cliff Smart-a-Palooza, go to the Courtyard by Marriott. It's just the hotel to go to. You're either going to go to the Courtyard or it's going to suck. So you have two choices. Get on your A game. United Fiber, I tell you, it's a ways from Springfield, but the way United Fiber is growing into St. Joseph, they may be in Springfield before long. Those guys know how to get it done. United Fiber, great folks. Appreciate their sponsorship for the show. Appreciate Cliff for the time. I'm going to tell you, when you look back on guys that get stuff done, I couldn't say it enough. I mean, you got these two colleges. Academics is not exactly the thing that just gets me jazzed to talk about, but the fact is this state cannot succeed without two outstanding public institutions leading the way. These two places were in dire straits, maybe one more than the other, but still, everybody's in Mizzou's business more, frankly. The leadership mattered. When he came in, Missouri State was better. It's a great story. I didn't want to ask him about it, but the story I've heard, which is hilarious, I've heard it from Governor Nixon and I've heard it from the folks at Springfield. He came in, troubled time at the college. The president just didn't work out, right? We've all seen sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. This time it didn't work. Well, then he comes in and Nixon was wanting to freeze tuition. He had made a couple panels for the Supreme Court, I think, and Nixon didn't pick him. So he didn't have a problem sharing his thoughts about Governor Nixon. Next thing you know, he's the interim president. Next thing you know, he's good at it. He is the president. He went from being on a Supreme Court panel to being, I mean, just the king of Springfield. And he's earned it. He is a doer. You can criticize what he does if you want to, like any doer. There's the old Teddy Roosevelt quote about the man in the arena. Cliff Smart has been the man in the arena, the right man at the right time, and that place is substantially better. And I don't just mean the college. I mean Southwest Missouri is substantially better. I also heard Kelton. I heard him say he wasn't going to run for a partisan office, which that's good for Lincoln because you don't want Cliff Smart to follow you. That doesn't look good for you. But I sort of heard him say between the lines he might run for mayor of Springfield when Ken McClure's done.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
You could tell he's slick, though. I like how he said, oh, well, I'm not going for a partisan job. It's like, okay, I hear you. And then he's like, although I don't think that seat, I mean, Cliff's always been a Democrat that I know of, but again, he's a Democrat with some sense. So it's kind of hard to be one or the other anymore because everybody's so damn goofy. But I was very interested. He said, well, maybe a council or a school board race. Okay, I'm gonna make a Stein of Knowledge prediction right now. All right, are you ready for it, Kelton? Let's try our new graphic we have. Are we ready? Make it happen. Stein of Knowledge prediction. I like that. My Stein of Knowledge prediction is going to be that Cliff Smart will not run for school board, and then he won't run for city council. I think he'll either find some hobby he likes or some job he likes in retirement, or he'll be the mayor of Springfield. And I have no reason to think he wouldn't be a damn fine mayor of Springfield if that's what he chose to do. I can't imagine he would have, elections are tough and you never know, but I mean, he'd be by far and away the front runner for that job, and I bet he'd be a damn fine one. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate the time. Always excited to come visit with you all. I'm very thankful for Cliff Smart. Half an hour after he announced he was leaving to come and visit with us, he is just a class act from the word go. I tell you what, they have big, big shoes to fill in Springfield. I almost kind of want to be the guy that follows Cliff Smart, right? I mean, he did sort of lay it out. Don't screw it up, which would be tough, right? If you're coming into a job, you're hard charged, you want to do some things, but if you really have to not screw it up, that is a tough job to fill. But anyhow, thank you all for watching. We'll see you Sunday, and I'm going to tell you I think can we do one of these tomorrow, Kelton? Sweet, we'll do one of these tomorrow about 11ish, and I'll tell you who's going to be on the show. How about that? Oh, Austin Peterson. Austin's going to be on the show tomorrow at 11. We're going to have fun with it. Trust me, you're going to get a full dose of 100 proof Austin. We're talking about what a libertarian is, because hell, I'm not sure what a Republican or Democrat is anymore. But I bet you Austin knows exactly what a libertarian is. He's going to tell us tomorrow. It'll be fun. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you Sunday on This Week in Missouri Politics.